The American Lung Association says, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if you use a CPAP and you don't have a backup power plan, a power outage isn't an inconvenience. It's a medical event. I agree, and I say that as someone who wears one of these every single night. 3 in the morning, power's gone. Your machine makes that sad little dying noise, and you're lying in the dark doing math. How long has it been off? How long until it comes back? Do I not breathe correctly tonight? I built disaster recovery plans for hospitals and Fortune 500 companies for 20 years. And for way too long, my personal CPAP backup plan was, hope the power comes back. That's embarrassing. Let's fix it, yours and mine. Here's what most people don't realize. Estimates suggest somewhere north of 20 million Americans use a CPAP machine. One source indicates that over 60% of CPAP users have had their therapy interrupted by a power outage at least once, and a peer-reviewed study published in March of this year found that the average medically relevant power outage, the kind that actually threatens your equipment, lasts longer than 8 hours. Most backup batteries that come standard, they tap out around 4. So you've got a gap, and in the corporate world, we'd call that a single point of failure. Your therapy depends entirely on one thing, grid power, and you have no redundancy. Now, in the business continuity world, we don't accept that. When I built recovery plans for hospitals, we had generator backup, battery backup, and a manual fallback. 3 layers. Your nightstand needs the same thinking. Here's the other thing nobody mentions. When your CPAP stops, you're not going to suffocate in your sleep. Masks have anti-asphyxia valves. They let you breathe room air if the machine goes down. But what does happen is your sleep apnea goes untreated. And if you've lived with untreated sleep apnea, you know what that means. Headaches, brain fog, elevated blood pressure, and the kind of exhaustion that makes you dangerous behind a steering wheel. One night is rough. Multiple nights during an extended outage, that's a compounding health event. Let's start with what I call the budget tier, because the number one excuse I hear is backup power is too expensive. It's not. A 12-volt, 100-amp-hour lithium iron phosphate battery, LiFePO4 for the nerds, runs about $145 on Amazon. Add a 400-watt pure sine wave inverter for about $20. Total system cost, roughly $165. Now here's the math that matters. Your CPAP draws about 10 to 15 watts without the humidifier. With the heated humidifier and hose running, you're looking at 50 to 65 watts. On that 100-amp-hour battery, you're getting 20-plus hours of runtime with the humidifier on. Turn the humidifier off, and you're looking at potentially 80 hours. That's over 3 days of sleeping. The LiFePO4 battery is rated for 3,000 to 5,000 charge cycles. That's roughly 10 years before degradation. It doesn't produce fumes or make noise, and unlike a generator, you can run it in your bedroom. Your homework from this section: look up your CPAP model's wattage. It's on the back of the power supply or in your user manual. Write it down. That number is the starting point for everything that follows. If you're finding this useful and you want household preparedness from someone who actually did this for a living, not a guy in camo, hit subscribe. We do this every week. If you've got a bigger budget or you want a cleaner solution, the premium tier is purpose-built CPAP batteries. The Medistrom Pilot 24 Lite is the gold standard. It connects directly to most ResMed and Philips machines via DC, which means no inverter, no power conversion losses, and longer runtime per charge. Then there are portable power stations. Your Jackery, EcoFlow, Bluetti units. These run from $200 to $500, but they power everything. CPAP, phone charging, even a small lamp, so you're not navigating your house like it's a haunted attraction. Now here's the part where I put on my risk manager hat. Any of these solutions is a massive upgrade over nothing, but none of them work if you buy them and shove them in a closet. A battery you haven't charged in 6 months is a paperweight. Set a calendar reminder. First of every month, check the charge. I treat mine like a smoke detector. Remember when your parents would yell at you to change the batteries on the smoke detector? Same principle. Except nobody's yelling at you now, so you have to yell at yourself. Your homework. If you already own a portable battery or power station, plug your CPAP into it tonight and test the runtime. If you don't own one yet, I'll include links to all 3 tiers, budget, mid, and premium, in the description so you can compare without doing the homework I already did for you. Don't buy it yet. Finish the video first because the battery is only step 1. Here's where we go beyond the gear. Because owning a battery is not the same thing as having a plan. And in 20 years of building continuity programs, the most common failure I saw wasn't equipment failure. It was a process failure. People had the tools. They didn't have the system. Gap number 1, you're probably not registered as a medical priority customer with your utility company. Most major utilities have a program that lets you flag your account if someone in your household depends on electricity-powered medical equipment. It doesn't guarantee you won't lose power, but it puts you higher on the restoration priority list, and some utilities will give you advance notice before planned shutoffs. The American Lung Association specifically recommends this. 1 phone call, 10 minutes. Gap number 2, your prescription supply chain. Talk to your doctor about maintaining a 30-day emergency supply of any medication tied to your CPAP or sleep apnea treatment. If you use a specific mask type or filter, keep a spare. During Hurricane Beryl in Texas, NPR reported that medical equipment users were stranded for days because supply chains shut down when the grid went out. You cannot order replacement CPAP supplies when the internet is down and roads are flooded. Gap number 3, your emergency binder doesn't include your CPAP information, your sleep study results, your machine serial number, your pressure settings, your equipment supplier's contact information, your doctor's after-hours line. All of that should be in one place, on paper, accessible in the dark. Because if you need to relocate to a shelter or a family member's home during an extended outage, the first question anyone's going to ask is, what equipment do you need and what are your settings? If you've watched my emergency binder video, you already have the framework. If you haven't, I'll link it below. Your CPAP information should be a dedicated section in that binder. Now here's the section that nobody wants to talk about. What if everything electronic fails, battery's dead, power's not coming back, and you're on night 3? First, and I need to be clear here, talk to your doctor about this scenario before it happens, not during it. This is a conversation to have at your next appointment. That said, there are non-powered strategies that sleep medicine professionals discuss for emergencies. Positional therapy, sleeping at an incline or on your side, can reduce the severity of obstructive events for some people. A wedge pillow, or even stacking regular pillows to achieve a 30-degree incline, is better than lying flat on your back without therapy. This is not a replacement for your CPAP. Let me say that again. This is not a replacement. This is the contingency behind the contingency behind the contingency. In the corporate world, we call it the manual workaround. The thing you do when every automated system has failed and you need to survive until normal operations resume. Remember when you were a kid and the TV broke so you just went outside? Same energy. It's not ideal, it's not permanent. But you adapt, you survive the disruption, and you recover. The difference is you planned for it, so you're calm instead of panicking. Your homework, at your next doctor's visit, ask this specific question. If I lose all power to my CPAP for more than 48 hours, what should I do? Write down the answer and put it in your emergency binder. By the way, if the grid reliability situation concerns you, and it should, gently, I did an entire video breaking down the federal data on blackout risk projections through 2030. I'll link it right here. It's the context behind why this CPAP backup plan isn't optional anymore. Let's bring it home. Your CPAP backup plan has 4 layers. Layer 1, a battery backup solution. Budget or premium, get 1. Layer 2, register as a medical priority customer with your utility. Layer 3, secure your supply chain. 30-day medication supply, spare mask, spare filters. Layer 4, an analog fallback plan discussed with your doctor, documented in your emergency binder. Your one homework assignment that takes 10 minutes or less. Call your electric utility and register as a medical priority customer. That's it. 1 phone call. You can do it tomorrow during your lunch break. If you do it, drop a comment below and tell me which utility. I'd love to see how many of us get it done this week. I'm Ernie. This is Prepared Not Paranoid. Build the plan, skip the panic.